Welcome to Discrimination, Retaliation, Fraud, and Racketeering, Episode 5, Part 2. Pictured here is Andrea Barbano, the office manager at Dr. Blake Perry's office in Mount Vernon, Washington. Today's date is 7/1/2020, and we're going to go ahead and start by Andrea Barbano was the manager who illegally changed my chart notes, and she was also teaching her secretary Jennifer how to illegally change my chart notes, and this is all discussed during our recorded meeting that Andrea Barbano consented to. So we'll start with that. Anymore. What are you guys want me to give 2 weeks, or what do you want?
At this point, do what you want. I hate to lose you. You are by far one of the best hygienists I've ever worked.
Well, I don't know why it's just weird why people or why all of a sudden this weird stuff started happening. Something's going on. So, is there something going on that I should know about?
No, that's the thing. Nothing.
Because it's just weird because, you were having me sign in as Katie the whole time, and then all of a sudden now you're doing stuff, and then it's like you change my notes, but Katie's notes aren't getting changed.
And that's my fault. And I can go and show you the note I even wrote when I did it to prove to you. I want you to know I don't do that. I did it just because I was actually showing Jennifer how to do it. That's the only reason I did it. Otherwise, I would have you to do it.
Well, why would you show Jennifer how to do it?
Because I was showing her how to do a walkout, and that was the first one I grabbed. And I just happened to notice it was incorrect.
So are you gonna charge that as a child? Because I would like that as a child, bro. I feel more comfortable that you would just change it back, because I just don't feel comfortable about that. It's just too much weird stuff has happened, and I don't know. I mean, I tried my best, and I feel like I was so shortchanged here. You know that I deserve the health care, and I deserve the 6 days, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm not going to give anything to you. And then
You got it.
I never got my 6 days paid or my health. I got the health thing like a bonus, which wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I was kind of okay with that if I was going to get my 6 days paid like I was promised now. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got to do another year before I get it, and then the contract can change at any time. I mean, I know what's going on. We all know. It's just the way he's doing it. And it's like, I know he knows that I was signing, that I was using Katie's name. We both know that. So, but then he was acting like, weird about it.
What happened there, the reason why it changed is because that's when we upgraded the server and then upgraded to EagleSoft 17. That's where it came into play. That's why everybody's got to have their own login, so he changed this up. No big deal. That's where it changed. That's the only reason why it changed. And it's not that he was not refusing to do it. He just sit down and just do it.
Well, the thing I want best, I really want a letter of recommendation.
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever we have to do, and I would like to end on good terms, but I just don't. I'm really uncomfortable right now because it scared me that no one told me, but the front, it was like this hidden secret about me because they knew, you knew, and no one else's notes got changed but mine, so I just don't feel like I can trust anymore after something like that.
That's me. I apologize for moving back, but it's not going to change how you feel.
Yeah, So, Dr. Blake Perry is the main topic today, who I believe is involved in the organized fraud scheme. The Department of Health sent me a letter that talked about how Dr. Blake Perry committed no violations, but Dr. Blake Perry committed the following. Dr. Blake Perry commits perjury to the judge, Dan Barnett, under oath, by saying that his software put a line through the chart notes when it didn't, and when the manager illegally changed my notes. Dr. Blake Perry gets caught using illegal software. Dr. Blake Perry, his manager, Andrea Barbano, and the secretaries were all involved in illegally changing my chart notes and frauding insurance companies to get me thrown in jail so I'd lose my dental hygienist license. Dr. Blake Perry and staff were all involved in changing billing codes to commit insurance fraud and forgery under my name to get me thrown in jail. and Dr. Blake Perry gets approximately 9 violations from the Labor and Industries, even when they threw away the paperwork to give him more time and hope that he wouldn't get investigated. Since Dr. Perry got caught using illegal software, it is also possible that the Labor and Industries is also running illegal software. So we're going to start next by showing you a clip on the hearing, which I've played for you before, and it's just to show where Dr. Blake Perry gets caught lying to Judge Jan Barnett, and it's proof of what I'm talking about. One second. Trying to get it. Right here.
I don't think I'm missing any particular information that I need to make a decision. So at this point, I'd like to ask the parties if they have a closing statement they'd like to make, and I've asked them to be brief. Mr. Knemeyer, do you have a closing statement?
Yes, I just wanted to just say my license was in jeopardy. You heard the testimony, now you know the truth, and that's all I have to say, Your Honor, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Perry, do you have a closing statement you'd like to make?
I'd just like to say that the office acted correctly, that no illegal activity took place, and that we would never allow illegal activity regardless of what this employee says about us or myself. And thank you very much.
Okay. Dr. Perry, I don't know if you were present when Andrea Barbano was good enough to alter what she had to say, but are you aware that she did at this one time actually just take out the CH from the treatment notes that Mr. Knemeyer had made on this particular patient? She just took it out?
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but if it were to happen, it would be simply to correct the chart notes so they match the procedure codes, and then the doctor at the end, the supervising dentist, would review those chart notes.
You had testified early on in this hearing that the software that you have actually strikes out any changes that are made to notes. And taking out documentation so that they match the billing records, you would agree that's not the correct way to make corrections, right?
So there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the Department of Health letter here. And it says case number 2017-16011 dentist license. Dear Dayvin Knemeyer, the disciplinary authority for the credential listed in the subject line investigated your complaint about Blake Perry in accordance with the disciplinary process under Washington's Uniform Disciplinary Act, Chapter 18.130 RCW. We close this case because the evidence does not support a violation. Now, I turned in a complaint at the Labor and Industries, and they threw away my paperwork, and they might be running illegal software there. So the lady initially tried to discourage me from filing a complaint. And then this was from Michael B. Day at Labor and Industries. It says, to Dayvin Knemeyer, they emailed me. I have now received this and we are evaluating the information from our response. I noted on the paperwork a receipt date of 9/7/2016 from our Wenatchee Labor and Industries office. We have not received this information from our counterparts in Wenatchee. Our Region 1 Everett office / me just received this information from you. We are investigating how this could occur. For what it is worth, I apologize for not having the knowledge of this until now. Good news, we are on it. Respectfully, Michael B. Day, Supervisor, Industrial Hygiene Compliance, Region 1. Washington State Department of Labor and Industries, Division of Occupational Safety and Health. And this was in Everett, Washington. And that is page 2 of that, where they tried to throw out and give Dr. Perry time to clean up everything, and he still received approximately, I think, 9 violations. Probably should have been more if they wouldn't have thrown away my paperwork, and I suspect there's probably illegal software being used because the college was also involved in deleting out my assignments, which I've explained in earlier episodes. And here's a list of some of the violation types and the Washington administrative codes that go along with it. So I'm going through these kind of fast here. You can stop it at the video at any time and try to zoom in and get more of this information, but I don't have time to stay on each page too long. So alright, and then 2 more here. Alright, and then just the letter where the state health department said there was no violations when clearly there are multiple violations. Now let's get into some more about the other college stuff again for the people that haven't had a chance. I'm going to give you a briefing on some of what was going on there. So currently today, which is 7/1/2020, I do not have my Bachelor's of Applied Science and Dental Hygiene degree that I earned, and Sherry Pedrusny, the Yakima Valley College teacher and program coordinator, is refusing to give this to me. Sherry Pedrusny ordered Wenatchee Valley College Leslie Lampkin to engage in fraud and steal out my assignment requirements, and the entire college is trying to cover it up. Leslie Lampkin illegally removed my summary number 1 assignment that consisted of 2 summary assignments and replaced my summaries with 2 additional non-required gun essays that were used to abuse me. He failed to install my library packet and made misrepresentations on my final 2 research papers or expanded essays to make them look like regular essays, so Sherry Pedrusny could downplay and act like I didn't do a true research paper and deny my Bachelor's of Applied Science and Dental Hygiene degree. And that's why Leslie Lampkin was trying to get me down to 3 topics so they could do it, but I had a signed contract with him, so I didn't let him do that. Now, I already had passed an advanced essay class with a B+ grade, so that's why Sherry wanted everything to look like I just did regular essays again, so she could try to say that I didn't do anything different than my last class and just deny my degree. I have emails where Sherry Pedrusny admitted English 203 was my last college coursework to get my degree. The Yakima Valley College is trying to cover up the fraud. The Washington State Board of Community and Technical Colleges, with Director of Transfer Education Joyce Hammer, is involved in covering up the fraud. The Mansfield School District, Washington State, and Leslie Lampkin are most likely cheating the children because I have a public record evidence proving many children are failing and they have missing assignments just like me. And Leslie Lampkin is refusing to fix the fraud that I caught him doing, so I'm sure he is frauding the children. Leslie Lampkin, the English 203 research teacher at Wenatchee Valley College, and Sherry Pedrusny, the Yakima Valley College dental hygiene teacher and program coordinator, created an answer to my federal court lawsuit with answering everything exactly the same when they work at two completely different colleges approximately 2 hours away, which could only be possible in organized fraud and racketeering cases. That is why Leslie Lampkin makes the statement about how nobody is going to dig back in the course assignments to make sure I complete all the work listed in the syllabus, but really he knows Sherry Pedrusny was going to look at the fraud that Leslie Lampkin engaged in by stealing my assignments, and that is why I don't have my Bachelor's of Applied Science and Dental Hygiene degree. So my attorney, David O. and David O. Defense Firm, broke the contract for my federal court lawsuit and stole $10,000 from me because he was either intimidated and threatened and or bribed by the clerks Pam Howard, Angela Knoll, Debbie Brazel, the biased Judge Salvador Mendoza Jr. at the Washington State Eastern District of Washington Federal Court, and Attorney General Bob Ferguson and Assistant Attorney General Derek Taylor all don't care about students and children as well as health care fraud. The Attorney General Bob Ferguson and Assistant Attorney General Derek Taylor are using taxpayer dollars to assist criminals such as Sherry Pedrusny, the Yakima Valley College Dental Hygiene Program Coordinator and Teacher, and Leslie Lampkin, the Wenatchee Valley College English 203 research teacher. Now, let's get into a little more of that evidence here. So, here again is an email from Sherry Pedrusny, the Yakima Valley College Dental Hygiene Teacher and Program Coordinator, where right here she says, English 203 is the last college coursework you will need to complete. Right there. You will need to submit the crosswalk petition and pay for BAS 402, 403, and 404. Coursework is not required for these courses, and you can read the rest if you want. Here is proof that David O. came into my federal court lawsuit. Then David O. abandoned me. Like I said, I feel he was right. Here's the contract where I paid David O. $10,000 cash in full, and I still do not currently have my Bachelor's of Applied Science and Dental Hygiene degree, and he abandoned me because the clerks, Angela Knoll, Pam Howard, and Debbie Brazel, the Attorney General Bob Ferguson, Assistant Attorney General Derek Taylor, the biased Judge Salvador Mendoza Jr., and a whole bunch of other companies, the Wenatchee College, all these people are basically trying to frame me. And the proof I got here, this was written from Debbie Brazel. She mailed this to me. This is biased Judge Salvador Mendoza Jr.'s clerk. And on this page right here, she says, defense counsel shall make arrangements with the correctional center where plaintiff is housed to ensure plaintiff is able to call in for the hearing on a telephone that will permit him to have ready access to his paper. Now, I also want you to look real close here. See this line right here, how it separates a little bit? Now look over on my federal court lawsuit here. Now, you notice if you get in close, see how the line separates a little bit? Now, so she's saying that she was going to throw me in prison, or that I will be in prison, and because I'm turning in all this illegal activity. Now, Pam Howard, the clerk over at the Washington State Eastern District of Washington Federal Court, she told me about how she was going to incinerate my evidence and how my evidence was not evidence. So what I think they were trying to do is frame me and make patterns like these lines I was showing you, and there's certain word choices and things, and they're trying to, all these doctors such as Blake Perry and Dr. Charles Morgan, the Wenatchee College taking out my assignments, the Department of Health, which I'll show you more, was working together, and the Labor and Industries throwing away my paperwork. They were going to try to get rid of all my court lawsuit stuff and throw me in jail and not let me use the evidence, is what I think. So I'm being framed. And to prove that the Department of Health was in on it, so I turned in the complaint on the colleges, at the college, to Dr. Lori Keller. I wrote on June 5th, 2018 at 12:39 p.m. The pro-gun essay is still not graded. He has removed the grade for summary number 1. It was a 100-point assignment that I received a 93 out of 100. I have pictures to prove what is happening. I hope this is not a form of retaliation for filing this complaint. Well, I hadn't talked to the Department of Health about the fraud that I turned in on Dr. Blake Perry for approximately 4 or 5 months. And then all of a sudden, the very next day, Wednesday, June 6, 2018, at 8:50 a.m., Mike T. Bask, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he emails me, Dayvin, the investigation regarding the complaint you filed with the Department of Health was just reassigned to me, and I have a few questions about the complaint information you provided. Do you have any documentation from the unemployment hearing regarding the use of software to change records and how that was discovered? Also, if you could provide the location of the hearing and maybe any state staff you worked with. I will more than likely need to get copies of documents related to the hearing. So this crooked investigator is clearly talking with the college. They got scared because I had proof with picture evidence that I was telling them about. So they called the Department of Health and told them that they're worried and to get me off track on the Dr. Perry thing. And like I said, then they said, oh, Perry committed no crimes. In the college, they're trying to act like isn't doing anything wrong. That's why the Department of Health is not taking down these criminals, all these doctors involved. And it's just really sad. Now, I want to show you, too, a statement for the people that missed it. This was an email from Leslie Lampkin that says, I can assure you that nobody is going to dig back into the course assignments to make sure you completed all the work listed in the syllabus. So, and he says, when the college audits your degree requirements, they will look to make sure you completed and passed all the required courses for your degree. You passed my class and did so with a respectable grade. A pretty respectable grade. So, but really, they were going to look back, and that's why I currently do not have my Bachelor's of Applied Science in Dental Hygiene degree. And all of these criminals are working together to try to cover up the crimes. And I did not give up my confidentiality, but considering that they're sharing all my information and lying and talking about all this stuff anyways, they gave it up without my consent. And so I might as well just put it online and show what all these criminals are doing and how they're all working together to try to frame me by taking out my chart notes, doing insurance fraud under my name. You'll find out more about Dr. Morgan, and he was trying to write up an illegal protocol for me to do to try to make it look like I was doing insurance fraud and treatment planning. All these criminals are working together. There's a picture of Dr. Blake Perry right there. And let's go through some of the criminals real quick. There is Joey Walter, who was the dean at Wenatchee Valley College. There's Dr. Lori Keller, who was one of the deans at Wenatchee Valley College, the one I emailed right before the Department of Health all of a sudden wanted to talk when they stole out my assignments at Wenatchee Valley College in Washington State. There's the Attorney General Bob Ferguson, who's providing assistance for these criminals and using our taxpayer dollars. There's Sherry Padruzny, the dental hygiene program coordinator and teacher, who ordered this. She ordered the Leslie Lampkin to do the fraud, and I think she's calling up all my jobs and ordering them to try to do insurance fraud and stuff to try to get me thrown in jail so they'll take my hygiene license, because she's still mad because she set up a false schedule in the past so she could deny me out of the program before I ever even became licensed as a hygienist, and I turned her in for it, and she's still mad, so she's tried to make life rough through the program. She's calling up all my jobs, and then now I've even went back to school to try to hire my education to the Bachelor's of Applied Science and Dental Hygiene degree, and now she's calling up the teachers and telling them to commit fraud. So there you go. There's Andrea Barbano, who was illegally changing my chart notes and committing insurance fraud. There's Jennifer Elliott, who works at Mount Vernon. She was the secretary and insurance coordinator at Dr. Blake Perry's office. She was the one that Andrea Barbano was teaching how to change my chart notes. There's Regan Bellamy. She's the one that was talking about how after her preliminary review that my complaint wasn't of discriminatory or harassing nature, so she don't think that fraud is of discriminatory or harassing nature. She also wanted me to talk to this person right here, another vice president at Wenatchee College, Dr. Chio Flores, who claimed to not have the expertise to read in a syllabus and assignment report and see if they match. Here's Dr. Jim Richardson, who knew about the fraud, and we'll get more. Here's Joyce Hammer. There's the biased judge, Salvador Mendoza Jr. There's vice president, one of the vice presidents, Carly Schiffner, who, after I turned in the complaint, she ran up to the Washington State Board for Community and Technical Colleges to work, and she was, because she got scared that I turned in the complaint, so she went up there to work with Joyce Hammer at the state, and she also has a relationship with Paulette Lopez, who's a dean at Yakima Valley College and works with Sherry Padruzny, the Yakima Valley College Dental Hygiene Program coordinator and teacher, who ordered all this fraud to happen. And there is Joyce Hammer, that worked at the Washington State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. Now, there's Leslie Lampkin, the English 203 research teacher, who was also stealing from the children at Mansfield, it looks like, through public records. So let's go ahead and show a few of those real quick, just some proof. I really like this one because it explains it, where Luke Hall emails Leslie Lampkin and says, I saw a bunch of your 7th graders are on the DNF list out of your room. Are they missing something or something they need to work on? And Leslie Lampkin emails him back, it's a combination of missing assignments and laziness. Now, if I have missing assignments and I was frauded, I'm showing you all this healthcare fraud. You're going to learn more about all kinds of, like I said, the labor and industries, throwing out my paperwork, Department of Health, Dr. Perry, according to them, didn't commit any violations of law when he lied under oath, under penalty of perjury to the judge. He's using illegal software. Here's information because I was trying to go to Colorado, and Sherry was writing it incomplete and spelling my name wrong on purpose, and she fills it out incomplete multiple times to harass me to try to stop. And then here is where Dr. Charles Morgan writes up an illegal protocol for me about always trying to get adult prophies in. And no matter if it's a new patient or recall, he always wants a prophy first. And I'll tell you more about all that and the legal activity with him. But basically, I want you to share my videos, my albums, my evidence, my YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And we got to stop this because I care about the students and children, all the healthcare professionals such as the dental hygienists, and I'm trying to expose all this different fraud that's going on because I care about the safety of everybody and I don't want anybody to get framed like they've been trying to do to me. So you'll learn more on the next episode of Discrimination, Retaliation, Fraud, and Racketeering. Thank you very much.